Good morning. My name is Mike Totten. I served with the 716th MP Battalion in the 101st Airborne. I was deployed to Iraq in April of 2003 and returned home in April of 2004. For the first 6 months of my deployment, I served as a driver for a security vehicle for my command sergeant major and my lieutenant colonel. And for the last 6 months I was put back in a line platoon with the 194th MP Company. I have some slides. This is a picture of me at the Baghdad airport before the Saddam was torn off the building early on during the invasion. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is me in Babylon, again early on in the deployment. These are some ancient ruins, thousands of years old, and this slide highlights the lack of respect that we had for the ancient culture and for the culture in Iraq. And it really displays our insensitivity to the people of Iraq. Can you go to the next slide, please? It's a picture of me with a donkey. And we can go to the next slide. This is me in Baghdad, in one of Saddam's palaces in Baghdad, also in the airport, pointing to my American flag, thinking to myself, good job, and being very proud of my country at this point. This slide highlights the arrogance that I had at this point in my life. It displays the heightened sense of importance that I felt and that many in my unit felt, and it also permits us to do harm to the Iraqi people and treat them as second-class citizens. I have a few talking points here. I'm going to highlight that sense of importance and also the general attitude towards the Iraqi people and my unit, and then I'm going to go into some specifics. Like I said, I worked with my command sergeant major often, and he would provide mission briefs and after-action reviews for every mission that we were on. During many of these mission briefs, the language that was used, such as Haji, which is in Arabic a term of endearment, the military has turned that into a disempowering tool, a disempowering word, and it is equatable to some very racist and derogatory remarks for minority populations in this country. Sergeant Major, in one specific mission brief, said to the 9-person team that Haji is an obstacle, do not let him get in our way, meaning that if they drive in front of us, get them out of our way, drive through them. This language that was used was common practice. I often hear it from still being used in many members in my old unit. It was used as a tool to degrade and dehumanize these people. It also permitted ourselves to separate ourselves. It gave us permission to separate ourselves from the people of Iraq, which served as a psychological protective factor should we be doing harm to those people. At one point in the deployment, when I was on a convoy just north of Baghdad, we pulled over to have an MRE refuel our trucks. And it was about a 6-vehicle convoy. Oftentimes, the kids in the surrounding community would run up to us and say thank you, and be very welcome us with warm arms. And we didn't want that kind of attention from the kids for fear of their safety, because we knew we were a targeted audience in that country. This one incident, a kid was trying to cross a 4-lane median highway and was struck by a vehicle going about 65. A number of us ran over there. I hopped in my truck and ran to stop traffic. A number of us, including my sergeant major, ran over there. And by the time he was walking back to his truck, which was about 30 seconds after he looked at the kid, said, "He's gone, move out." And I wondered to myself, what would have happened if this was an American kid who was just struck? Pre-deployment, the cultural competency training that we received can be best summed up in a sentence. Don't touch the people of Iraq's left hand. They wipe their ass with it. And that's what we got. Again, early on in the deployment, driving pulled over, the kids would run up to us and be very grateful that we're there. And so we'd raise our hands like this, and the kids would raise their hands like that too, and we'd try to get pictures of them doing that, so it looked like they're surrendering to us. And again, highlighting the second-class attitude that we took towards these people. Excuse me, this is... My friend here mentioned that every company has a platoon that considers themselves hardcore or very professional and elite. And I want to say at this point that our entire company was very well managed, and we had some phenomenal leadership. My first sergeant was hardcore and amazing, an amazing man, and I give him the utmost respect to this day. We were very well disciplined. This next incident I'm about to describe was the day after we were engaged in an ambush where I was arm's length away from a man who was shot in the neck and died, fell to the street and died. I had to lift him into my truck with my gunner pulled down from the turret, and we brought him into our truck and tried to medevac him. As a grenade blew up my left front tire and flattened it. It took about 15 minutes to get back to the hospital. At that point, he'd bled to death. The incident I'm about to describe is the night after that event. The Iraqi policemen, our mission was in part to run a jail in Karbala, not for enemy prisoners of war, but just for the general population prison. These prisoners would be brought by the Iraqi police, and then we were to show them through the processing and how we do things in America. We weren't in charge necessarily of enemy prisoners of war, but on the night of October 17th in 2003, 6 people were brought in by the Iraqi police who claimed that these 6 were participants in the actions the night prior. Therefore, they were enemy prisoners of war due to coalition standards. When these people were brought in, they appeared to be beaten already badly. They were lined up on the concrete wall, and we told them to interlace their fingers, which is a form of control, because you can grab your middle finger and your index finger and squeeze them together, and it's quite painful. Interlace their fingers, place their foreheads on the concrete wall, cross your ankles, and put your hands on top of your head so we can search you and process you in. They were tagged, they were searched, and they were also beaten. Not just by Americans, but by Bulgarian soldiers and by Polish soldiers, by Iraqi policemen, and by me. I grabbed the man by the jaw and I looked him in the eye, and I slammed his head up against the wall. And I looked him again in the eye and said, "You must have been the one that killed Grilly." And then he fell, I kicked him. An Iraqi policeman, probably the size of the biggest security man here, with hands to match the size of a Kodiak, hit a guy in the side of the head about 6 times, and I thought to myself, I'm looking at him and I laughed. I'm like, yeah, these guys are getting what they deserve. I never found out whether or not this all took place also in the presence of a lieutenant, my lieutenant, within earshot of many NCOs. I never found out what happened to these people, these 6 prisoners. I don't know where they went. I don't know anything about that. And I'm up here today to speak on behalf of all the people who haven't returned home, who can't speak. This isn't just some isolated incident. This happened in the presence of NCOs, commissioned officers, and coalition forces, not only as participants, but also as witnesses. From the night before October 16th, October 17th, the night of October 16th, my lieutenant colonel was also killed that night. My being up here displays my anger, both on multiple levels, by the Americans' behavior overseas, by our president's continuous rhetoric about Iraq being a success, about this country's citizens' and apathy to this occupation. And this is why I'm here today as well. These events happen in our name, and each and every single one of you are responsible for this as well. I am very sorry for my actions, and I can't take back what I did. I ask the forgiveness of the people of Iraq and of my country, and I will not enable this any further. General Petraeus, you may not remember me, but you once led me. You're no longer a leader of men. You've exploited your troops for your own gain and have become just another cheerleader for this occupation policy that is destroying America. General Petraeus, you pinned this on me in Babylon in 2003 following the October 16th incident. I will no longer be a puppet for your personal gain and for your political career. Thank you.